Dear entrepreneur, would you like to reduce your business costs in order to increase your profits? I'm sure that you are interested in this kind of subject, since every entrepreneur struggles in order to raise the point where you have a lot of profit. So in this video, this is Luca Papa, digital coach, and I will teach you what are the kind of costs that you can work on in order to improve the profitability of your activity. The big problem of many entrepreneurs is that they are not making the right amount of money they should make from their activity. The majority of the entrepreneurs that I know that asked me to help them, before coming to us, they usually have a real problem in profits and sometimes also in cash. But most of the time, profitability is the real problem at the beginning. So what happens is that they are just paying themselves like an employee, but they are not making a real profit from their activities. So what are the reasons why they are not making profit or a decent amount of profit, considering the amount of risks, responsibilities and time that they put on their activity? What are the reasons, the main reasons? But there are two main reasons. You don't know how to increase profits, how to increase revenues. So sometimes entrepreneurs knows how to reduce cost, or part of what they should do in order to reduce cost, but then they don't know how to do it. And most of the time they are scared about doing it. So if increasing revenues is a matter of marketing and sales, and I would say today is a matter of online marketing and sales, and digital sales especially, because they are the most powerful tools you can use in marketing and sales to improve your profits, your revenues. And I will explain you everything about this in other videos you can find on my channel. But for what concerns the defensive part of your business, the cost part of your business, the subject that you had to take care of are usually completely different. You can still reduce your costs through the digital marketing and sales, but most of the things that you have to do are also something that have not to do with digital marketing and sales. So what should you do? The first voice that you have to consider is product costs. If you sell a product, obviously you have a cost for your product. If you sell a service, you have a cost for providing your service. First of all, you can try to reduce your cost. For example, in services, you can digitalize the service, provide the service through an online service. And so that means that you will all your providers, yourself also, will cost you less. Why? Because they don't have to move to reach the client, to go to the client. So they save time. If they save time, they can cost you less. That's just an idea, an example. If you have a business in production, you have different options in order to reduce cost. But many entrepreneurs that I know, they live in a business where they have just like a 10% of margin between the cost of the product that they buy and the price they can sell that product. So where margins are so low, the only way you have to make your business profitable is through volumes. But in order to do big volumes, you need a lot of capital, working capital, to make those volumes, and then you are subjected to the competition of big companies that have got a lot of cash. So it's really is a very tough business, that kind of business. That's not the kind of business that I usually suggest to do and to go into. So what can you do to reduce your product cost? And you have to take care of your product cost, because the other problem of many business owners is that they don't really know how much their product is costing them. If you just do a commercial business where you buy and sell, it's easy. But if you have a production business or a business made of services, for example, in services, many entrepreneurs, they don't know exactly how much the service is costing them. And that's why, because they don't have an industrial cost structure and accountability. So they don't build a system in order to know all the kind of costs that they have for providing their services. First of all, you have to know the structure of the cost of your product. Second, once you know that, you have some options. You can go abroad in order to find new providers, for example. You can still change providers in your country. You can try to change the level of the pricing of the products, of every component of your product, for example. For concerned services, also you have the option to change your providers, to change the structure of your service, to digitalize or automatize some of the service. But you still have to do something in order to have a margin that is much better than 10%. For example, here we in digital businesses, we aim for at least 50-70% of margin. We don't like to stay in a very small margin business. Then you have also fixed costs. Fixed costs are something like, for example, your store, for example, the furniture of your store. But then you have also electricity, gas. You have also personal fixed costs like employees. And fixed costs are the main problem in many activities, because sometimes when your revenues go down, you have a big problem, because your cost, if your cost, the majority of your costs are fixed, you go down, and you don't reach your break-even point. And also you consume a lot of cash, and that's the second problem, second effect of this kind of phenomenon. Then in fixed cost you have warehouses, factory, your machinery, for example. Sometimes you can even have your electricity, for example, and so on. So that's the real problem. Once you have a digital business, for example, you don't have the majority of those costs. So what happens is that you can reduce your fixed costs. How? Going online to sell. So if you sell online, you don't need a warehouse, because you can do everything drop shipping, for example. You don't need a warehouse. You don't need also a factory sometimes, because the majority of things that you provide are something that is produced by somebody else. For example, you can just brand what you are selling online. For example, you can still use a provider to brand or rebrand what is producing for you, what is making for you, and then you sell this product with your brand. So that means that you don't have all those fixed costs, but you have a variable cost that help you to reduce your entrepreneur risk, and also that help you to to reduce the cash that you need in your business in order to start up, for example. And that's very important. Then you don't have so much electricity as if you had a factory, a warehouse, all those kind of things. So consider those options. Then you have also personal costs that in the offline business, let's suppose, for example, that you have a physical store. Even in days where people don't go to the store, you still have need to have employees working there inside, even if in days and hours where the business is not profitable. What happens online? You still need somebody, less people. That if you had, for example, that 10 store locations, you need at least 10 people, one for each location. Most of the time, at least two for each location to cover all the working hours. Once you have an online business, you need just one person covering the working hours, maybe two if you want, three, but I mean not so many as you would need if your business was offline, for example. Then another component of your cost is the voice of indirect variable costs. What I mean with this? For example, if I'm in my area, I have a store, and with my store I want to advertise the store in order to get more people in the store and to sell more stuff. What happens is that I have to do local advertising. Local advertising is like, for example, radio advertising, local newspapers advertising, maybe events, offline events, and so on. Those kind of costs are considered indirect variable cost. I mean, they are not related to each single unit that you sell, but they are related of the sales of your business. So you have to, I can say, raise at least, for example, you need a budget, for example, of $100,000 a year in advertising offline for helping your business to get customers to the shop. And it's a level of commitment that is difficult to lower. What happens is if your business is based on online activities, you still have advertising, okay? So that's why you still have advertising costs. But what happens is that your indirect variable costs, like advertising, are very easy to be managed, are very easy to be changed, and very easy to be moved from the best channel from the worst channel to the best channel, the more profitable one, for example. So what I mean with this, you do advertising on Google. If advertising on Google is not making you any money this week, next week you can stop that advertising, or you can lower the investment in Google, for example. If you want, you can even stop the investment in Google this week and to I can say to begin working with Facebook, for example. And so you move all your marketing investment from Google to Facebook, and vice versa. You can do also the opposite. So it's very easy to change your indirect variable cost structure. Then you have costs related to sales. The most important of those costs usually are your sales force at the end. Your sales force, if you have a business with a sales force, is a problem because many businesses have salespeople as full-time employee, and that is a fixed cost. Then they have their cars, the cars they provide to them. Then they have the cost of them visiting clients, customers. It's a lot of cost, obviously. What happens? What can you do in order to reduce those kind of sales force costs? First of all, if you make your business online digital, or if you digitalize your business, even if your business is still offline and still based on offline service or offline products and physical products and so on, but if you digitalize your sales force, what happens? First of all, you can you can hire agents, representatives instead of employees, and they are based on commissions instead of on salary. So less risky for you, and most of the time much better from a performance point of view, because they are more motivated in order to make more sales. Second, You don't need your workforce to move to visit every client or their customers because they don't have to spend so much time traveling and so much money traveling, because you can help them to sell through an online process. Still talking to clients, but doing video communication, video calls, video calls, and so on. Then another thing that you can do is also consider the fact that you can digitalize also some of the sales process, because instead of printing, for example, brochures, depliants, demo materials, you can have all those kind of materials in a digital format. So that means that you don't spend any money in brochures, in depliants, brochures, and so on. So there are many ways to reduce those kind of sales costs. Finally, there is the problem of tax cost. In some countries, taxes are very high. So in most of the countries, if you are a business owner, more than 50% of your profit goes at the end in taxes, is used for paying taxes. So it's a huge cost if we want to consider that kind of cost. What can you do in order to lower the cost? There are many strategies about how you build your balance sheet, how you do invest your monies, and how you consider different voices from a balance sheet point of view. But an easy way, very easy way to reduce your cost is to go online with your business, to have an online business, and then to move your business, but obviously also where you are resident, also where you live, in a country where taxation is lower than the country you are based on now, at the moment. So you can still choose in your online business to move quite easily from a country to another. You can still spend some of the time of your, usually less than 6 months in your country, your original country, but you still have to move your structure, your online structure, and some of the time also the place where you live in, but with a very huge advantage from a fiscal point of view. So if you want to consider the idea of getting some help from digital professionals, online entrepreneurs, and my staff, you can ask us for a free consultation. We usually in Digital Coach, what we do is help entrepreneurs making more profit and working less at the end, reducing the amount of effort that they have to make in order to raise their profit, to increase their profits. At the end, once you know the right strategies, once you know the right best practice, you can really increase, double, triple your revenues, at the same time making your life easier. An entrepreneur is something that we have done thousands of times with different entrepreneurs, traditional and online entrepreneurs, or situations that are in between the two situations. And it is the job that we do. So if you want to hire us to consult you, you can ask for a free consultation, and we will be happy to get in touch with you and to try to help you improving your profit and revenues. Bye bye.